I was trying to save money on groceries, which was difficult because I was an Uber driver. And after paying for gas, insurance, and the occasional emotional support McChicken, my budget was held together by optimism. Eggs were expensive, bread was expensive, everything was expensive. At this point, the only affordable thing in the supermarket was regret. So when I saw an ad that said, "Own your own farm, $15,000, I nearly drove off the road. I pulled into a gas station, opened my banking app. Balance, $15,243, which meant I could buy an entire farm and still have enough money for a hash brown. Financially, this was somehow the best deal I'd seen all year, so I bought the farm. The property included one small farmhouse, one red barn, and approximately 1 million things that needed fixing. The real estate agent handed me the keys and said, "There's a reason we call this land historic." I assumed she meant charming. I would later learn she meant profitable. My plan was simple: drive for Uber during the day, become a farmer in my spare time, grow tomatoes, collect eggs, live peacefully, maybe wear overalls ironically. Unfortunately, farming is harder than it looks. On my first day, a chicken judged me, the tractor refused to start, and I stepped in something that was definitely organic. Still, I was committed. A week later, I was digging a hole to plant tomatoes, because that seemed like the sort of thing farmers do. Suddenly, my shovel hit something hard. Then the ground started shaking. Then a black liquid shot 30 feet into the air. I stood there covered in oil, looking like a very confused billionaire. I called a geologist. He arrived, examined the site, and said, "Do you realize what this means?" I said, "I'm going to need stronger detergent." He said, "You're standing on one of the largest oil deposits in the state." That sounded significantly better. A few months later, several energy companies started bidding. The final deal was worth $300 million. I stared at the contract, then at the unopened packet of tomato seeds. Those were the most profitable vegetables I never planted. The first thing I did was pay off my car. Then bought a much nicer farmhouse, upgraded to a pickup truck that cost more than my old apartment, and purchased a custom cowboy hat. I also kept the original shovel. It now sits in a glass case labeled Employee of the Month. Then I bought a $7,000 espresso machine. I made my first cup, took a sip. Still tasted like burnt sadness. Apparently, oil can change your finances, but not your coffee. A few weeks later, I walked through my fields at sunset. The oil pumps moved in the distance. The chickens still looked disappointed. And my Uber driver instincts were still intact. I checked my phone. Surge pricing was active downtown. For a brief moment, I considered turning the app back on. Old habits die hard. I sipped my coffee, still burnt sadness. Then I looked out over the farm that accidentally made me rich, and realized that sometimes the best investment strategy is just trying to grow tomatoes.